This is where I was living when I got the idea for the Singapore to Tokyo World Cup bike ride. Now with my online media business, the Rugby Lover's Guide to Asia, I was always intending to go to the Rugby World Cup in Japan, and I thought to myself, now if I rode there and filmed it, then I could showcase all the great rugby clubs and communities that I've become very familiar with over the years. Now personally, I was in a rut. I was only living in Borneo because my wife was working there and my children were receiving a good education. I was isolated and depressed, getting fatter and getting older. I really need something to come along to crack this life wide open.
It's travel day. It's time to get real. I haven't slept at all and I just finished packing. It's okay. I think I might sleep on the plane at some point. Oh no, I gotta work. No, I'll sleep on the first plane. Something will happen. It's all good. This will. But now we're off to greener pastures, to new beginnings. Actually, technically, really. Actually, it might be less green. No, it's probably greener. But amazingness.
I first met Gift at the 2017 Bangkok Rugby Tens, where I was filming for the Rugby Lover's Guide to Asia.
I came to Bangkok Tens in 2017. It was the first time I've ever been to a tournament that actually was an event. It was really wild.
You could not miss the guy. Walk into any of the tournament social events and you would see Gift smack there in the middle, commanding attention.
So I think whenever I met Jason, we were trying to both speak with Eddie. I think we saw each other, we had our cameras, and when we realized that we both are doing rugby media, I think that's always a bond.
You know, sometimes in life you just meet someone and instantly connect. That's how it was for Gift and I.
Yeah, I was like, yo, this dude can be sometimes weird, but it's a good weird. It's weird that vibes with me. Got back home and we kept in contact and, we would just have Skype convos. So it went from it being simply just, business ideas and rugby to now talking more interpersonally, movie.
Yeah, talk politics, social issues, pop culture. We loved Marvel movies.
No, I said Endgame lived up to exactly what it was expected. But Infinity Wars surpassed expectations.
There was Star Wars.
I made the whatever run in 10 parsecs. Nobody timed it. Nobody said anything about it.
No, but you want the Olympic Committee standing there with the stopwatch going, that's it.
There were some things he could get into which I just couldn't. The Power Rangers.
Now, mind you, Tommy, dopest ranger of all time, is always the GOAT forever.
No way. Power Rangers, too nerdy by far. So it was during one of these random conversations that I casually brought up the idea that I was going to go to ride to Japan. I was going to assemble a team to do it. And that's when he showed some real interest.
The idea of biking through Asia, even if I wasn't 100% sure if we could make it, this would be good for GiftTime Rugby.
Now as the months went by, the team idea really fizzled out because no one was really interested except for Gift. He hung in there. He was prepared to fly to the other side of the world, leaving behind his friends and loved ones.
Culturally, as Nigerians, we really make sure that we hold our families up because they don't understand what I'm doing with rugby, but they completely support the fact that there's something that I'm trying to go for. Andrea, my girlfriend, in this new relationship, about to be apart for an extended period of time, and a good chunk of our relationship is going to still be in a mobile element. It was an interesting tester.
And as I sat there in Changi Airport in Singapore, waiting for Gift to walk through those doors, all I could think about was how great it was that of all the people in the world who wanted to come with me, it was Gift who was going to join me on this excellent adventure.
We in Singapore, baby! It's been only 2 years! It's a new day, it's a new time. This is Jason, just in case you didn't know.
Yo, bitches. Hey, that's a good one. Here we come.
And now we're heading over to Leisure Farms where we're gonna start getting ready to actually do this bike ride.
Leisure Farm is an estate 40 kilometres from the heart of Singapore, just over the border in Malaysia. And they generously allowed us to use one of their houses for pre-ride preparations.
All right, so we're here at Leisure Farms. We finally got to our house. Yo, wow. Life of the rich and the famous. Yo, I'm here for this.
Leisure Farm's hospitality at that stage was vital. When we walked through that door, we had $600 to our name, mainly thanks to my disastrous attempts to raise money. Now, for the last 2.5 years of living in Borneo, I tried to raise sponsorship for my business, The Rugby Lover's Guide to Asia, to no avail whatsoever. And now I was looking for $50,000 worth of sponsorship for the ride. However, I had a bit of a trick up my sleeve. Now, the trick was to approach the Rugby World Cup committee and ask them to designate us as the official ride of the 2019 Rugby World Cup. Then 2 weeks after me announcing the bike ride, before I had a chance to approach the Rugby World Cup, I woke up one morning, I opened my computer, I opened my social media pages and saw this. Bugger, huh? It was time for Plan B.
Before we left to head out to Asia, we tried to do a crowdfunding campaign with Kickstarter. The Rugby World Cup is almost here! And I'll be heading out to Tokyo, Japan to cover and get the behind-the-scenes actions of the Rugby World Cup. And I will take us on a journey through Southeast Asia to learn more about the impact that rugby culture has on the region. On August 23rd, 2019, from Singapore to Tokyo, we will be bike riding 3,700 kilometers, 2,300 miles for those of us in the US, through 6 countries over 38 days, learning more about the rugby clubs, causes, and people that impact the Southeast Asian region. Let's go! I'm riding out.
We raised only $286, less than 1% of our $20,000 target, and we only had 3 backers.
I remember at the time, like, Jason would hit me up and he was telling me his network of people weren't adding anything. My network of people weren't adding anything.
The most humiliating aspect of this was telling the 3 rugby NGOs that we couldn't possibly bring any money to help them. We may not even have enough money to get there in the first place. At that point, the smart thing would have been to pull the plug on the entire ride. No one would have thought any less of me because nobody at that point seemed to even care. But I couldn't. Or more to the point, I wouldn't. You see, once you made a decision to crack your life wide open, it's pretty hard to uncrack it again. The t-shirts and bike shirts from Catalyst Sports was our last option. The initial idea behind the shirts was to sell them on the road as we travelled between the rugby communities. But with no sponsorship or crowdfunding, we had to try to sell them online before we left. Then my friend contacted me and said, "Hey Jace, I will buy 5 shirts, but don't send them to me. Give them to 5 people you meet on the road who could really do with those shirts. Pass it forward." And it's around that same time that we discovered the Facebook fundraising as well.
Facebook, that was a game changer.
So now we had the Pass It Forward t-shirt concept and the way people could pay for it, which was through the Facebook fundraising page. And now the money started trickling in.
It's like mountain horse. Okay, let's see how you go.
Ooh, I'm gonna take my horse to... Ooh, this goes to my
green bike became affectionately known as the useless piece of crap. I bought it in Borneo for the sole purpose of training. But no sooner did I take it out of the bike shop, that's the chain, it snapped. I haven't had it for 2 hours, it snapped. And it never got any better after that. Now once those 2 financing campaigns failed, I realised that the green piece of crap was no longer just for training. I was going to have to ride that thing all the way to Japan. Now, the grey bike was completely different. It was donated to us by members of the Tanglin Rugby Club. It was strong, it was light, and from the moment I saw it, I said, yes, this one's definitely going to go all the way to the Rugby World Cup. So you can imagine my surprise when after taking a light cruise around Leisure Farm and the grey bike does this. I heard Gift's bike beginning to clunk a little bit as it was changing gears. I could hear things not being right, and then it just came straight off. Like, as you see, it's really stuck. It just shouldn't be happening after we spent hundreds of dollars to get it polished up. The timing of this couldn't have been any worse. We had 4 fundraising launch events in the next 24 hours, starting with the Nigerian Singaporean community that afternoon. This is our worst case scenario. So we've got 1 bike and 2 people. If we don't turn up, we won't get the money, we won't be able to continue the bike ride. We're leaving on the bike by myself to go into Singapore and to get the ball rolling in Singapore, the logistics. In the meantime, Gift will be going into the bike shop here in Johor Bahru. Hopefully meeting at 2 o'clock at the Nigerian embassy.
How you guys doing? So, I gotta carry this bike to find the front desk, but I gotta get it to this shop in Johor Bahru, which is in Malaysia. I'm in Malaysia. Find a way to get to Singapore from there. I have no idea how I'm gonna do any of this. So, yay! Man, you know, God provides. I end up talking to the security guard a little bit, and he's able to get me a couple guys who take me to the bike shop. It looks like the issue was that this cap right here that we replaced had fallen off, and they're not even charging me. What? How does that happen? It doesn't. It just, wow. Now I have the fun part of, I gotta get to Singapore and figure out how to bike over there. This is gonna be an interesting journey.
There are 2 border crossings from Malaysia into Singapore. I took the Woodlands crossing because it allows bikes. I'm in no man's land. I'm not in Malaysia or Singapore. That over there is Malaysia. That over there is Singapore. I'm caught between 2 worlds. Riding through Singapore has been harder than I first thought. It's very organised here, it's very orderly, but as part of that organisation, it seems like roads are for cars and not for bikes. So you're riding along, you're trying to merge into another lane or cross into another lane to turn, and they simply won't let you. I'm here with the members of the Nigerian community here in Singapore. Just had a whole heap of fried chicken and some Pepsi and pizza and some great fellowship. So I just want to thank these guys so much for this. Now hanging with the Nigerians was great, except for one little hiccup. Spoiler warning, I'm not Nigerian. Where was Gift? Gift decided to enter into Singapore via a different land crossing, the Tourist Link.
So I start riding up the motorcycle ramp, and then you get to the entrance where you're supposed to scan the passport. And this guard just comes running up to me, and he's like, no, 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 no. Bicycles can't go through here.
Now our biggest concern wasn't with the bike. Our major concern was with the big box of shirts that Gift was taking with him, and what immigration might do with them.
You know, but I get sent up to the office, and they see the box of the other shirts, and one of the officers is like, oh, what are you doing? I was like, oh, you know, we're doing a bike ride going across Southeast Asia. And the guy is like, oh, do you have one in a large? Yo, these guys started coming out the woodwork like, hey, do you have this size? Do you have this size? So they ended up buying like 6, 7 of them.
You know, you go through an international land crossing and you've usually got to fork out for some visa or bribe or tax. But Gift must be the only person I know who actually goes through a crossing and makes money. Who does that? So both of us independently made our way through Singapore to Clarke Quay, one of Singapore's most popular social hubs. The Crossroads pub and microbrewery was recently taken over by Jim Callett, an active member of the local rugby community and one of the driving forces behind the all-girls contact team. These ones right here, the Valkyries. But stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the last time you're going to meet these crazy Valkyrie girls, for we were destined to meet again. Cambodia awaits. It was a great night, with the Tanglin Rugby Club in particular making their presence felt, sending us on our way with well wishes and purchasing lots of shirts.
Big night, launch, selling lots of shirts, hanging out with some homies here in Singapore.
Whenever we got a chance to stay in Singapore for the next day, we got to go to the Centaurs training.
Hi, it's our first day back at rugby and netball, so we've had a long summer break, and the kids are now back being put through their paces after their summer holidays.
1, 2, 3, Centaurs! 1, 2, 3, Centaurs!
I'll be honest, whenever we first got to Centaurs, I was a little surprised by how big it was. We were able to split up into games. You know, it was me on one side, Jason on the other. It was fun. Like, those kids were amazing.
That's Gift's first real taste of Asian rugby.
I'm talking about, guys, taking advantage of it.
He likes it.
Yeah.
It was the first time I think I've really enjoyed hanging around kids. And the weirdest part about it was, like, I felt like I already knew them. We ended up talking about music and talking about pop culture stuff because, you know, it's stuff within my realm. They were amazing. Coaches, kids, parents.
The World Cup. We're going to the World Cup. Who's going to win?
Cup, England, of course. Everyone knows that.
But seriously, who's going to win?
No, seriously.
I've got Ireland in my pick for the pool, so I'm gonna support Ireland.
For me, it'd be New Zealand, hopefully.
Really?
Like everyone else.
Why does everyone go for New Zealand for?
Heart, England, head, South Africa.
So who's going to win?
No, hey, Jason, good luck on your ride. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Awesome what you're doing. Best of luck. Ride strong.
Definitely appreciate everything that Centaurs in Singapore and really helped us heavily along the way.
So we said goodbye to Singapore for the last time, returning to Leisure Farm, not to our house, but to visit perhaps the greatest rugby clubhouse in Southeast Asia, the Bali Club.
Yo, sitting here at Leisure Farms, you can't beat this. To see that they have a field where you can just chill, stay in the pool while watching some solid rugby. In this situation, watching the Iskandar Pirates. The Iskandar Pirates were really fun as well. I hate to sound like I'm being repetitive, but I gotta be honest, they were fun.
Below the waist. Oh, that's a tackle. That's touch bulldog, okay? So you show.
How do you feel your chances with touch bulldog?
Touch bulldog sounds like it might be the game for me. I've got all the attributes required for it. The physicality, the skills.
You know, we had a lot of fun just kind of running around, getting competitive with the kids.
No mercy!
No, not mercy.
You gonna show us something on offense? You gonna blaze pie?
Yeah.
Show us your blazing speed?
Yeah.
How much blazing speed do you have?
No, one more time. I want you guys to say it with some real force, all right? 3, 2, 1.
Now, Gift made the very keen observation that about 90% of the kids we were seeing at these training sessions were expats. But this is not by design. Football is a hard nut to crack, but these kids are so keen to see rugby grow in Asia. When we told them what we were doing, that we were wanting to spread the rugby message through Asia and that buying t-shirts could help, it was the kids, not the parents, who rushed us at the end to buy the shirts and insisted that we pay it forward. They are just so keen to see the sport they love travel throughout the region. And because of this extreme generosity, it was time to get these wheels a-rolling.
The Iskandar Pirates give us, and then they beat me up and they take away my bike.
Thinking about so weight distribution.
That's why it needs to be completely in this.
Important things you need to prepare for on any Asian bike ride. The squat, without lots of toilet paper.
As we head about, this is the first leg of the real trip.
Out to the great beyond we go.
Right.
Tokyo, here we come.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Be easy. I felt like we were making good timing on this last one. I've kind of been fighting through the cramps.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a squat toilet shower.
And I'm like, wait, what?
Because I kept asking these people, where can I get Thai to? Where? And they just kept going like that. I said, well, it's in the sky. Am I going to fly up there?
Kuala Lumpur was like what I wanted from a big metropolitan city. Who can't be excited about Power Rangers ringtones?